Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. My name is Anwar Saeed, and I'm a research scientist at Institute for Software Integrated Systems at Vanderbilt University. Okay, so in this session, I'm going to talk about, and we are going to see a lot about reproducible project management. And the main goal of this session will be that I'm going to walk you through a few tools that we can use for creating Python packages, publishing them online, creating source code documentation from them from the source code, and publishing the documentation online as well. So first, I'm going to quickly go through a few slides to describe those tools that we will be using throughout this session. And then we will deep dive into the coding, create a Python package, try to publish and try to create a source code, a documentation for that as well. Okay, so in the reproducible project management, there are many important aspects, but in this session, we will be covering 4. So open source, the first and a very important aspect of reproducible project management. Documentation, of course, plays a vital role to actually reproduce results. Packaging, again, is the most important one, which allows easy to install and use the existing packages. And version control basically allows us to track changes between different versions of the softwares. Okay, so in order to actually implement and these tasks, I'm going to consider an example from the Neurograph. So Neurograph is a recent tool that we developed for processing fMRI data. And we presented this tool last year in NeurIPS. And the key idea behind this tool is that it basically provides different tools for processing fMRI data. And then the main theme of the overall framework is that to construct graph-based representation from fMRI data. So here in this session, we'll be considering the the first 4 sections from this tool, which are we will be considering fMRI data. And the first step, we will try to parcelize the data and then perform some basic pre-processing like removing scanner drips, head motion, and creating correlation matrices. So we will be using the first 4 pre-processing portion of this package. The documentation of Neurograph is also available. It can also be installed, and if you want to use it in your projects, you can easily install and use it for processing your own fMRI data sets. Okay, so going to the open sourcing. So for open sourcing your projects, we will be using GitHub, a website that basically hosts Git repositories on a remote server, a well-known platform for open sourcing, which has crossed around like 100 million users last year. GitHub basically facilitates the sharing of code bases that provides a very nice GUI for uploading and downloading, and basically track changes between different versions of the repositories. The reason we will be using GitHub is it's easy to collaborate and contribute to it. It has a large community and visibility as well. To publish our Python package, we will be using Python package index, PyPI, which is a repository of software for Python programming languages. It's again a well-known and official package distribution for Python softwares, and it provides a standardized way to for the distribution of software in Python language. So in this tutorial, I'm going to walk you through how to package a Python project, how to add the necessary files and structures, how can we build and upload a Python package to PyPI, and how to install that package and use it. The next portion is we will try to actually containerize our Python package. So if we have like Python packages, or if we have complex projects that have many software dependencies, and they may follow different versioning of softwares, then containerize or dockerizing those projects provide an easy to use way to actually reproduce the results, and it encapsulates the application dependencies and runtime environment. It provides us a consistent and environment, and it's the overall way is pretty simplified to deploy to many others. So I'm also going to walk you through how to add the necessary files and structure for Dockerize a Python project. We will build the Docker and upload the Docker to the Docker Hub, and we will try to download and use that Docker. We will also try to create a documentation for our Python project. So for the documentation, we will be using Read the Docs. It's a software which basically simplifies the software documentation. We can automatically generate documentation from our Python projects with Read the Docs. So I'm going to walk you through a few steps that how can first we add the necessary files and structure to create and automatically generate the documentation from the source code, and we will try to build and publish the documentation online. Okay, so the detail about this projects are available on a BrainHack Neuro Preprocessing repository. So if you want to follow up, you can use those instructions to follow. Okay, so I am now moving to the implementation part. So the instruction for this project and the source code for this project is available here on the BrainHack repositories and also available on the NeuroPref. The instructions for all the installations and running the softwares are also provided, so you can follow up. Okay, so I'm going to start with the opening the VS Studio, which you all, I hope, are familiar with. And we are going to actually clone the Git repository we already have on GitHub. So let's clone the repository on GitHub. We already have a NeuroPref. Okay, I'm going to okay, that's great. So we have the NeuroPrep repository fork from the GitHub we have. First, what I'm going to do is we will be using fMRI data as an example. So I'm going to copy that one sample to our project from another directory. So I have one sample. Okay. Awesome. So we have the data now. So first, I would like to give you a brief overview of the project we have. First, the important components. So we have, actually, as I mentioned, we will be using fMRI data, one sample from HCP datasets. So we have these two samples. One is the fMRI image, and the second is the moment regressor. The overall project looks like that. So we have a main file which basically uses this documentation from the neurograph to load and pre-process the dataset. We have main four sections: parcellation, remove drifts, and regress head motion and construct correlation matrices finally. So this is the main part we will be covering from the neurograph, which basically take fMRI image as an input and pre-process the data and return the correlation matrix. So the implementation of the entire project, especially this pre-processings are provided here. So basically we have these four functions: the parcellation, you know better about parcellation. So it basically parcelize the branch session. So I'm not going to talk much about the overall pre-processing, but we have like the implementation here. Remove drifts and other functions. So this basically remove the scanner drifts and fMRI signal that arise from instrumental factors. So we will be using these codes to get this information from the source code and show it as a documentation on the read the doc. We will see it later. Okay, so the next function is regress head motions, and this function basically regress out 6 rigid body head motion parameters along with your derivatives from the fMRI data. The final function we have the pre-processing, so it takes the pre-processed data and create the function connectome from it. Okay, so I assume that we already have a Python installed or Anaconda installed. The next thing we need to set as our environment. So if we have Anaconda installed, we can create an environment for it. For that, the first thing I have already created an environment, so I'm going to set my interpreter to my env, which is my environment for this session. Here we can run the pipeline and see if it works. This may take a while. So basically the main goal here of showing this project is we are considering one fMRI subject, and we are trying to pre-process it and return the correlation matrix. And we are now trying to create a package from this fMRI pre-processing pipeline. Okay, so we are good to go. Now we are trying to create and publish this package on PyPI. PyPI, as I discussed, is a well-known Python package index. So first we need an account there. So we need to have an account here. So I already have an account there. I'm going to log in and see the PyPI, show you the package PyPI package index here. So we can see I have published some other projects as well. So I can see right here. What you need to do is once you have, it's a very simple login process or sign up process. So you can sign up and then you go to account setting to generate API token. So for publishing packages on PyPI, we need to generate API tokens, which is important for it. So here we can generate API token for our account. And once we have the API token, we can save it somewhere in a file. Okay, so we have an account now on PyPI and we have a token. So we need to first create a setup.py file to provide configuration to the PyPI. So here I have already created the setup.py file. It looks like this. So we have the configuration, the name of the package, the version of the package, some sort of description of the package, author, email information, and install requirements. So here, this is kind of simple project. We need nyln and basic numpy. And here is the description. So once we have the setup file, we are good to go. Okay, so we need to install a few things. First, we need to install setup tools, wheel, and twine, 3 packages. I have already installed it, so we can see that it shows already installed. Okay, so now the next we need to create the distribution from this package. So we already have the package in and the required format, and we have a setup file. So we can run this command python setup.py. We are running the setup.py command, and this is the command that we need to test bds_wheel to create the desired distribution. Okay, so there is an error. Okay, it's test. Okay, and here we can see that we have generated the distribution package, which should be under the directory distribution. So here we can see that we have a distribution files for this package. Okay, so once we have these distribution files, we can check these distribution with the twine directory, check distribution static command. Okay, and we can see that we the distribution we have created actually passes the test. Okay, so once we have that, now we are ready to upload our package. But for uploading our package, as I mentioned, we need to generate the API tokens, and we will be using that token to publish our package. For that, there are many options. So we can provide the credentials with the command prompt as well. But we can also provide those credentials using .py PIRC file. So this is the file which the format of the .py PIRC file where we can provide our credentials. So here the whole structure of the file and the parameters should remain the same, but here in the password, we need to provide the token we have obtained from PyPI. And once we have this token, we save this file in our home directory. So here, my home directory is slash dot s slash. So once we have this now, we are good to upload our package to PyPI. So let's try uploading our package. Okay, I have version 1, upload. Distribution. Okay, so once we publish our package, it should looks like this here. We can see the package and then we can download it or install it with pip install command. So once we have this, we can easily use that package to do whatever we want to do with. Okay, so the second part is we are going now to Dockerize this package. So as I mentioned earlier, Dockerize basically provide us an environment to create a container for our package and install all those things, all the dependencies in the container. For that, we need an account on Docker Hub. I already have an account, but if you don't, you can just go to Docker Hub and create an account there. And then the next thing we need to do is to download this application we use. This is the Docker desktop I usually use. So here we can manage our Docker containers or images we have. So once we have these packages, we need to install Docker in our Python environment as well. So in our Python environment, the Docker command should run here. So I have already installed the Docker, so I can run it. Okay, if I run the Docker images command, we would be able to see the images we already have. And for creating the Docker from the images we have, we need to create 2 files for the Docker. The first file is we need to provide the requirements.txt file. This is the standard format for providing the txt file. So here we will be providing all dependencies that the project has. Like here we have Niler, NumPy, and these 3 dependencies we provide. The second file that needs for creating the Docker file is the Docker file. So the name of the Docker file should be something like the same Docker file. And that here we have, this is for the Python. We have the working directory /app, but we can consider any directory we would like to have. I'm copying all the data we have for creating the Docker, and then from the requirement.txt file, I'm actually installing all the dependencies, and then I'm copying main file, and the Docker. When I run the Docker, it should run the main.py file. To build the Docker image, I'll have to run Docker build -t, and we are going to provide a name, a username, and a name to the Docker. So here I'm providing the name neuroprep, and yeah, the next command will be the dot, which provides the current path to the directory. Okay, and so this is now building the Docker image or machine. That should take a while. So I have already built. This should take like a couple of minutes. So I have already built the image. So I'm going to stop it. But we can see the image here, Docker images. Here we can, the first image we see is the neuropref. And if we want to run the Docker images, we can just run command and provide the name of that. Okay, so this should take a while. So with the Docker, actually, once we have the Docker container, the benefits of this is once we download the Docker, we don't need to install any dependencies. So specifically in the neuroscience, if we have so many installations like FSL, free surfers, MATLAB or Python, Tedana, or if we have these complex pipelines. So it's quite, preferable to use Dockerization. Dockerization makes it quite easy to reproduce and work with such complex environment. So, and then we can easily publish those Dockers, and and it's pretty easy to reproducible. Okay, so now the third part we are moving to is to create documentation for this package. For the documentation, we will be using Docker Read the Doc. Read the Doc is a quite well-known platform for automatically creating and publishing the documentation for softwares. We first need to have an account for Read the Docs. I already have an account, and here we have here is the first you need to sign up and have the credentials for your account. The next thing is for generating the documentation from the source code. We need to create a file called readthedocs.yml. So this is the YML file which provides configuration for Read the Docs. And here are the few important parameters for this. So we provide the either Ubuntu 20 or 22.4. Here's a Python version, configuration file, and requirements.txt. Once we have this file, what we can do is here in the same directory, we are going to create documentation, automatically construct documentation for this. And for creating the documentation, we will be using Sphinx tool. So first we need to install Sphinx. I have already installed, but if you haven't, you can install it from pip. Okay, then I'm going to create a directory here with the docs. I already have it, so I'm going to into it. And then the next command to create documentation for the package would be Sphinx quick start. And here we provide the essential information for the project, like project name and version number. But I already have the docs account, so I'm not going to run this command. You can provide these information, and this is going to generate a docs account, a docs directory and documentation for you. Next, we are going to run make HTML command. And this command basically, once it construct the directory structures, this command creates the documentation, read the source code and create the documentation for it. For this, we need to update a few files now. Here under the docs, we have a few important files, which is the first one is index.rst, and this file basically provides the information about the entire project. Like here we have the pre-processing. For the pre-processing, we have one utils file which has all these pre-processing functionalities. So we need to add those information about that. For the next, we need to actually provide configuration, update configuration file. So here, our configuration file should look like this. We should have the project name, the author name, release number, and like these extensions. So the configuration file should exactly look like this. And we already we also should have an RST file for each of the module for our project. So in this project, we have only one module, which is utils, which contains all the pre-processing function. So we have that. And once we update these files, again, we will be running make HTML again to update our package. And once we have that, it says the HTML pages are in build HTML. So if we go to our directory, so this is the new repro directory I have. Here we have documentation, and we are going to build HTML, and here we have the documentation. And we can see that the project we have, like for the pre-processing, we have these 4 functions, and these it reads the information about whatever description we wrote in the code and show it here. So this is basically the automatic process of constructing source code so if you have some huge projects, this can automatically generate documentation for you. Okay, the next part, we are going to publish this online. For publishing it, what we need to do is the first thing we need to commit it to GitHub. So we can commit it from here to our GitHub. So my GitHub is already for this project is up to date, so I'm not going to commit it. But our GitHub needs to be updated with all these files. And once we have those files, I'm going to go to our project dashboard. And here we can see that there is an option of import a package. We can click on it, and here there are directories on my GitHub, which I can construct documentation and publish documentation for those. So here here I have already published the documentation for the NeuroPref. So we can go here. This is a simple process. We can just go and click next to generate documentation for that. So here we can actually see the documentation for the package we created. And we can see that it has these 4 functions, which is parcellation, regressive motions, remove drifts, and construct correlation matrices. So if we click here, again, this provides us the way to use the package. Yeah, so that's all about it. So what we did is we created a small Python package. It's a pre-processing pipeline for fMRI. Then we publish it using PyPI. That is now available for download with pip. Next, we Dockerize the package. It's simple 2-3 commands with Dockers, and then we try to create the documentation for the package and upload it, publish it to the read the docs.